Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please rise for the flag salute. Oh, where's the flag?
Where is it? Oh.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Remind me to move the flag
Yes.
at the end of this meeting. That's twice they got me. Roll call, please.
Mayor Caucus.
Here.
Mrs. Passier.
Here.
Mr. Maneri.
It's not
Mr.
here.
Robinson.
Mr. Lowenstein is
Mr.
absent.
Farrell.
Here.
Mrs. Kelly.
Here.
Mr. Shapiro.
Here.
Mr. Long.
Here.
Mr. Basor.
Here.
And Ms. Strelli.
Here.
Okay, public notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act has been given by the clerk in the following manner. One, posted on the bulletin board in the Borough Clerk's office on January 5th, 2023, and two, emailed to the retrospective carrier post on January 5th, 2023. We have first reading of ordinance 2301. Is an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap. Just to be clear, what this means is that the state allows us to exceed and save if we don't spend as much money that we're allowed to spend. So in a subsequent year, we can spend the money. If we have a bad year, we're allowed to kind of bank this money that we didn't spend in the current year. But you have to pass this ordinance or you're not allowed to do it. Is that accurate? Okay. Would someone like to?
Motion to adopt on first reading and advertise according to law at a public hearing to be held on February 28, 2023, at a meeting beginning at 7 p.m.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, motion by Ms. Passio, second by Mr. Shapiro.
Can I make a correction?
Yes.
It should say 6 p.m. That's the caucus.
Oh, it's a
Yes, that's
Oh,
right.
my God.
Yes. I should know.
All right, motion by Ms. Passio, second by Mr. Shapiro. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Kelly.
Yes.
Mr. Farrell.
Yes.
Mrs. Passier.
Yes.
Mr. Shapiro.
Yes.
That's 4 ayes, 2 absent.
Okay. Then we have resolution 2327. It's a resolution confirming 2023 appointments. And this is to Mr. Lobenstein will be the Class 3 member of the Planning and Zoning Board for this coming year. Just to be clear, that position is not appointed by the mayor. That position is appointed by the members of council. So you guys have to decide, and I'm assuming that he spoke to everyone, so if someone would like to make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that motion.
All right, motion by Mr. Farrell, second by Ms. Passio. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Kelly.
Yes.
Mrs. Passier.
Yes.
Mr. Farrell.
Yes.
And Mr. Shapiro.
Yes.
All right, that resolution is adopted. Resolution 2328 is a resolution of participation in the Safe and Secure Grant Program. This is something we've been doing for decades. Does it say the amount of money or anything? Is that money going down? Is that always the same? Wasn't it in the 30s at one point?
It was, but the last 3 years it's been
Okay. All right, I did notice that. So we get $21,168 for 2 officers that have been here for 20 years. And anybody knows about the cost of an officer? $21,000 does not pay enough for 2 officers. It doesn't pay enough for 2 anything. But we do get it and we appreciate it. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make that motion. I'll second that motion.
Motion by Ms. Kelly, second by Ms. Passio. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Passier.
Yes.
Mr. Shapiro.
Yes.
Mr. Farrell.
Yes.
And Mrs. Kelly.
Yes.
4 ayes, 2 absent.
All right, that resolution is adopted. All right, we're going to go to new business. First thing we have is used car lot licenses. Do you want to go over that?
We've had 3 that have responded with their fee, so they'll be on for approval.
Who are the 3?
Toyota, Charlie's Auto, and I'm trying to think what the last one is. We just got the last
The
one.
one on the
Schmidt?
Black Horse Pike?
Schmidt.
That's Charlie.
Oh, is that Charles?
Century on the Black Horse Pike?
No, the one on the Black Horse Pike down around 6 has not responded.
Has not responded.
Has not
So who's the other
responded.
one? Oh, maybe Belmont.
Yeah, maybe so. I don't have them with me.
So I'm going to bring this up because it was brought to my attention by somebody. I did get some complaints on 6th Avenue, not from your dad, but from that they're parking their cars on the road. Are you aware of that at all?
No, but I can look into it.
Yeah, you know, some of the used car lot is moving their vehicles on 6th Avenue, and it's affecting patrons going to the VFW, the Sports Depot.
I was aware of it with the old one, and we went down there and they moved out. We got on it for that before, but I wasn't aware of the new people.
Yeah, I did hear that, and just want to make sure.
I'll look into it tomorrow.
Okay. All right, so we'll do that at the next meeting. Motor vehicle agreement, I'd like to actually walk that on. What resolution number would that be? Would that be 28?
Yes, 29.
Oh, 29, I'm sorry. 23, 29. And the reason is, even though the agreement doesn't start till July, we'll do our part, send it back to the state, they'll do their part, and it'll be all ready for July.
What is the payment?
The amount went up slightly, because the idea was, you know,
I could tell you what the amount is.
it went up 5%,
$136,422.
which is an increase of 5% from the previous year. So we're in the middle of negotiations with the officers and things like that, and our costs, so we'll sign it and get it going. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the motor vehicle agreement? And-
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
All right, motion by Ms. Kelly, second by Ms. Passio. Roll call, please.
That was Kelly and Passio.
Yes.
Mrs. Passio.
Yes.
Mr. Shapiro.
Yes.
Mr. Farrell.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Kelly.
Yes.
4 ayes.
All right, that resolution is adopted. Clothing bin, donation bins, what's that reference to?
The Lucas Laundry put 2 clothing bins in the front of there, right on the pipe.
Yeah,
I
I
have a
know.
question.
I think it's a tough spot, I think
What is
they
the,
came in front of the planning
who was
board.
supposed to approve that? Was that the
That was code enforcement or zoning would have to make the
Before
determination.
before I put them on for approval, do we need to have somebody go out and look at that?
It's right in the driveway.
Yeah.
I think it's
And-
I don't think the engineer would sign off on it because they came in front of us for a site plan approval.
You can't really see too well down the pipe when you're trying to get out of the.
I don't think we can approve that one. The other one, if the other one's in the back of the building, maybe there's no objections to that.
Which one's in the back?
You said there were 2.
I thought there were 2 in the front.
I only see one.
There's 2 in the front.
There are 2 in the front?
Is there?
There are 2.
I think they actually
I
might
thought
be
it was
the
second
second
You
one.
paid 25 apiece, so I'm assuming there are 2.
For an application or for the approval?
For his application, yes.
I think we need to get the zoning or code enforcement. I think zoning first because it was subject to a site plan approval. And the site plan, you know, that's part of the driveway on the one side.
Okay, well, they won't be on the agenda.
Okay.
I'll send that to,
Yeah, and if
you
code
think
enforcement,
zoning is first?
I think zoning first because of
Okay.
the site plan. And then the extension of the temporary budget, is that just, you're gonna do that for the next meeting? Yeah, that's fine. You know, we do have an obligation to introduce our budget by, is it April this year? March 30th, so we have some time for March 30th.
So these clothing bins, are they gonna just stay there until we make a decision?
Well, he's done it backwards. He's gonna put the bins up and then ask for permission.
And Buck notified him that he had to get a.
Okay, and he applied, and I think the consideration has to be that if it's in the site triangle, if it's in the driveway, you know, maybe there's a better spot for it. It is, they are lead bins, so we want to be supportive
No,
of
they're not
lead.
lead.
I thought it said lead on the side.
At Lucas Laundry?
Yeah, that's what I saw.
Oh, he didn't give me, that's not what he gave me in the application. I don't know if I have it with me.
We have to go take pictures.
Or not. No, it was another company entirely.
It wasn't lead?
Because he didn't, in fact, when he filled out the application, he only put on there where you have to name the company. He put another company is what he wrote it on. And we had to send it back to find out who it was. And that, because that is the person who gets the license, really.
Yeah.
It's the, oh, here,
Right, Lucas Laundry.
I do have it.
So
Texas, the name of the company,
is that correct?
Until they're either
the name of
approved
the
or not.
company is Texum 9 out of Carlstadt, New Jersey.
I thought I saw a sticker on there, but not the rest.
I don't know that.
Yeah, the only one that does lead is the Acme,
Yeah,
and they haven't come in yet with theirs either.
All right, temporary budget. We have nothing else on the formal agenda, so we'll just go around the room. Ms. Passio, you want to start?
Well, actually, I'm going to meet at some point with my committee for public events. And our next public event will be Youth Mayor and Council, so we'll decide on how we want to handle that. It's usually the second week in May. So after I talk to you, after we get together and we talk, then you can go talk to Mr. Iannucci and Mr. Tilly and find out what's a good date for them. And then let's not forget, prior to that, it's going to be Easter. So I would like to have another Easter parade through town, so we'll
Okay.
discuss all that, okay? Rich?
Yes.
Okay, so with that, I'm just gonna say progress.
Okay. Ms. Kelly? What do
Thank you,
think?
Mayor. I really don't have anything from our police department because I don't get my report till next week, or the fire department. But I will say that our grant writer, Anthony Jones, has been extremely active in getting grants for our fire department. We just got word that we're getting the other half of the Sally's grant. So thank you, Anthony, for your diligence on that.
Good job, Ann.
And keep us updated on the others. And Kate is here, and I did chat with her for a few minutes. She said everything is going along smoothly. So we'll try to meet and work out any kinks that might be coming up. So much for EMTs and the fire department, and then I'll rely on my report for council. But John sent me an email that he updated the solar panel estimates.
He's going to be here this evening. He's just running a little late. If you
Yeah,
want to
he told me.
let him do that.
Yeah, because,
Well, he'll said he'd be here by 6:30.
oh,
You want him to do that?
yeah, let him in. I mean, he's been the one right from the get-go on. I mean, he's
Okay.
been the point
Yes,
person.
I understand. I saw the
Yeah,
proposal.
so anyhow, we're going to be looking at a lot of grants for the green team. John just told us about the PSE and G1, so we'll keep you posted. But what of really great concern to me is the fact that there's no generator at the Brunson House. When electricity goes down, the elevators don't work. There's no generator to work the elevators. I just checked with Anthony, and he said it's not required. Now, there's 4 floors of very old people over there.
Not all so old.
And what's your thought?
There should be a generator there.
Well, once again, though, where do we step in? If it's
Well,
it's
isn't
a
there code
pre-existing,
enforcement?
well, that would be a question for Scott, maybe as a fire marshal. But construction, typically, if there was no work being done on it, it's hard for us to do unless the state comes out. And I don't know, Mark, if you know anything about it,
Why
we put the
isn't there
generator.
a generator there?
I
That's what I want to know.
I don't answer. All I know is what the Borough did with our buildings after Sandy, is you were kind of required to put backup generators, or at least they suggested.
Why aren't they
The schools-
required?
It's above our pay grade, Eleanor.
It just boggles my
It's the state
mind.
of New Jersey, it's not us.
What happens to these people when they can't walk down the stairs?
I think that's something, if you want to go talk to Ms. Massanova about it, it's probably something to think about.
I think we are in the process of doing that,
Okay.
because this is just not right.
Okay.
Mayor Caucus, in relation to that, I received a letter from the Board of Elections asking, I guess it went to all the clerks, about generators in polling places. Because now everything is, all the books are electronic.
Yeah.
I don't know how that will be enforced, if even, it's kind of vague, I want to know which buildings have generators.
Well, obviously, all our schools have generators. This building has a generator, the firehouse has a generator. The building that does not have a generator with the borough, which is the Harry Williams building,
Yes.
it does not. And that's where we're holding our elections, and that's where we've been talking about.
All of them will be there eventually. Is
Yeah,
that correct?
that's potential. So just let everybody know, and Mr. Del Sordo, this is directed at you. Well, just so you're aware, we have voting in this room. And what happens is that for the court, they require us to strap all the chairs and everything like that. So it becomes difficult for Public Works to unstrap them and strap them. The screws are starting to get loose and things like that. So the vote by mail has really increased every year. So we did propose to the Board of Elections to move all voting at the Harry Williams building. And the logic there is that we could control it security-wise, adequate, everything else. But then in my letter, I did civilly say we would agree to anything that we would be required to do. And if they said we needed to put a generator in, it's probably, but it's not a terrible thing. If I recall, the Harry Williams building is our,
It is.
it's our emergency.
Yeah, Yes, for children.
what are you appointed that I keep, you have an appointment for?
Emergency coordinator or something.
Yeah, the shelter, wasn't it the shelter coordinator or something? Yeah, so the building is our emergency, so maybe not a terrible idea, but if everyone remembers how much the generator does cost, and there's a maintenance issue with generators, but it's not a bad thing.
What is the cost, Mayor, approximately?
Well, depending on where we did it, the generators say at the pump stations for the sewer pump stations were anywhere from 10 to 15,000. And the one here at the Borough was several hundred thousand.
Oh, yeah.
So the range is all over the place depending on the load and things like that. And the circumstances here were very difficult. The question over there would be, are we only doing the gym area, or would we be doing the senior center? Because there are several panels there and stuff like that. But it's definitely something to look into and see how it plays out.
Excuse me, everybody.
Oh, John.
Sorry, I'm running late.
Yeah. Tough one though, Eleanor, talking about that. That's a private building. That would be like someone coming to your house and saying, Eleanor, you're older and you need a generator.
The thing of it is,
Stay in your room.
there's hundreds of people over there that can't walk down the stairs. How does that, my public safety mind is just blowing
I think you
away.
should talk to Scott first. See his opinion.
Scott Hill?
Yeah, he's the fire marshal.
Mrs. Kelly, I do want to tell you, like, when that situation happens and we get notified of it, if there's an ambulance call or anything like that there, we add the fire department to go help carry down the steps, so nobody's left stranded.
They carry them down the steps.
In our new stair chairs from Zales.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The power one, yeah. Well, you can look into it, Eleanor. It's a tough
Slide
one.
him out the window.
The borough needs money for our properties and our buildings and our equipment. You know, if there were grants available, we could always help sign off on something. John, we were skipping you because of you weren't here. So we can come back to you if you want. Are you guys okay? Because Eleanor wanted to report about the solar, but she felt that it was more of yours. So, Mr. Ranieri, finance?
My report?
Yep.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Sorry I'm late. It's heat season. In finance, we filed our annual financial statement on time. Thank you, Shelley and Chris. We will be filing our annual financial statement on or before March 3rd. Our municipal budget will be introduced on or before March 31st. We're preparing for a committee meeting in approximately 2 weeks to discuss the budget, capital bonds, environmental infrastructure trust fund, and the Davis Road sewer project. We'll also be discussing payroll increases, additional fuel price increases, recycling and landfill increases, current and proposed projects, capital needs, and all budget concerns, along with our debt today and our debt as we move forward. I will confirm with Shelley a date for the Finance Committee, and shortly after that, I'll confirm with the committee. And the rest is progress.
Did you want to go with the solar?
The solar, I had recently requested a proposal that's more palatable for us to get started with the Harry Williams building. And to be honest with you, I have to really get together with the gentleman again and review it, but it looks like it's an acceptable project. I don't know whether we're going to be able to fit it into this year's budget. I'm hoping so, but we'll know better after our meeting.
We just heard a bunch of increases on your costs.
Well, there are increases, but you know what? We've had a pretty good year. So there are increases, but we've had some additional income. And the girls are doing an amazing job, so we'll find the money.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Bob, engineering?
Thank you. Manor Court and reconstruction of Forest Avenue. Block Associates are coordinating with the contractor regarding punch list repairs and final cost closeout on the projects. The 2023 Local Recreation Improvement Grant, as requested by the mayor. Block Associates submitted an application requesting $100,000 for drainage improvements and construction of a multi-use trail at the Orway baseball complex. New Jersey DAC Sage portal and supporting resolution has been submitted to complete the application.
Has to be submitted.
Oh, it has to be, so, sorry, thank you.
Excuse me, do we need to do a resolution tonight? Did you say?
I sent a draft to Joyce for next Tuesday.
Okay, so next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
CBPT Year 42 and New Jersey DOT Road Program, closeout documents including the final payment, voucher, and the CFO certification were forwarded to the NJDOT Local 8 on December 20th, 2020, requesting final NJDOT reimbursement in the amount of $56,250. Sewer extension project, Block Associates continue to coordinate with the New Jersey DEP regarding review of the project, and we are waiting for authorization to advertise the project for bid. We are currently addressing the questions regarding tree replenishment. Also, I just talked to Bill. Those enclosures for the bus stop seem to be working out. I asked Bill if he had any problems with it. He said no. I'd like to see if we get a couple more on Blackbird's plate.
Yeah, and I think we ought to consider, we've always been very blasé about the locations of those. Whenever the state sends us the letter about should we move them or anything like that. Maybe since we're doing these enclosures, maybe we need to reevaluate where they are. Someone brought it to my attention the other day that like at Clemens Bridge Road, they're almost stopping very, very close together. And I don't know, maybe we need to evaluate that a little bit better. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We get to, I know it's ironic, we get to determine where they're located.
Yes.
And, and if we're gonna help put together these enclosures, maybe it makes it look better. Things like that. Maybe if there's one on every corner. I don't know. The first two look great, I think.
I think the one down at the church would be good, because there's always people down there.
Okay, so maybe you should show that one. Do the next two.
You mentioned,
The other side, so there's nothing on the side
Yeah.
southbound, so.
Yeah, so that, I think the one looks great in front of Cooper. The one down further, a little tighter, but, good locations.
And I've called-
So we can move the locations is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
They send us a letter saying, if we wanted to move one 50 yards or whatever, we could do that if it's a better location for the enclosures or things like that. Now, we don't have to have an enclosure.
How do we make that decision?
Well, I think it's just a general thought process. If everyone's like,
You and Bobby walk the pipe?
no, not at all.
I'm not watching.
Chief has a lot to say in that.
Oh,
No, I think you guys last time just came up with the locations.
Yeah, we did it, then
Yeah.
the chief went out and looked,
Yeah.
and thought they were the best
Yeah.
spots.
I mean, you notice where people hang out and they sit and there's trash and, all those kinds of things. People kind of telling us where they're hanging out. Hey, we just gotta make it look a little nicer. Because I think Cooper, if you remember, Cooper was complaining to us that people were putting trash and things like that. And that's why I think that one made a difference, but we have an obligation maybe to put some more trash cans up or a combination of both.
I asked him about solar on there, because I've seen it, but he said right now they don't have it. So we'll look into that too.
I think the ones we don't look nice. Okay.
What the rest of
Okay, Rich?
I'm also going to have to maybe meet with my team to see what our plans are for this year, things like that. But on the sports side, basketball is doing well. I haven't had to call cops all this year. Fans are acting pretty good.
Parents are getting better?
Yeah, they are. I think a big part of it is that they were crazy before COVID. After COVID, they realized the kids were stuck, so everybody's just having fun.
To get them out of the house.
Yes, exactly.
Well, one of the things I'll say with what Rich is talking about, the $25,000 we got for the VFW playground is just not going to be enough to do anything like what needs to be done down there. So we might need to reevaluate how we get that done or combine
What do you
years.
plan on doing, what do you plan on doing
Just
down there?
replacing it. That's our whole thing. We don't want to.
Replace the whole thing.
I'll have to talk to money.
Yeah, I think it was almost $75,000. The county gave us
And our
$20,000.
best options. I know she thinks we can hold it on 25,000 for a certain amount of time.
Do multi-year grants.
You can do multi-years.
Yeah, and that's where we might, the best option, where it doesn't come out of our pockets as much.
Was that?
I don't remember what the
We're
proposal
gonna
is.
try to do the stuff for the
It's
small
still
kids.
open, but a few
Yeah,
of the pieces got removed because they were broken and you can't get the parts.
playground that's there
So
now
safe.
is from, I guess, young to 5, 7 years old. It's not, so we don't want to change.
Yeah, it's not for the little kids, that's a little,
No, that is.
That is for
that is for the
little
little
kids,
kids, that
The
VFW.
age group
At the
is the youngest,
VFW.
yes.
Yeah.
And we don't want to just tear it down and have it empty, so we're just trying to coincide
Some nice
everything
swings
together.
out there for kids.
Right, and it's time for that.
I'd sent them to Harry.
And then there's, other than that, basketball's doing well. Baseball signings start up next week, I believe, and softball started this past week. And the rest is probably.
How about the Cancer Foundation weekend?
That's coming up. I don't know all the details yet, but I think it's coming up at some time in,
23, 24, 25. And it's gonna be all weekend,
They usually are, they do it all weekend.
and it's going to be, the benefit will be for Aldrich and the Lucas
Sylvester Foundation.
Silvestri's Foundation. And there'll be a basket auction, there'll be 50/50s. I understand it's gonna be a really, really
been big every year.
weekend.
Yeah, it's been big every year. They do a good job.
Maria told me she has 29 teams signed up.
It's great.
Well, yeah, all the teams play, and then they usually get, I think last year was,
Well,
against
yeah,
the coaches.
Yeah.
I don't know if they do it, the year
Yeah,
before
well-
that was the teachers of both.
it'll be in there again.
So.
It's gonna be fun, it's gonna be fun, so mark your calendars.
Who's sponsoring it?
I think it's an RYA function, RYAA function.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, hopefully they will be getting licenses for the raffles they're planning.
They're not having raffles,
They just said they were. Oh,
so, all right, is there anything else?
I'll make sure Bob.
And lots of police presence.
All right.
Oh, that makes me feel so much better.
All right, anything else?
Nothing, progress.
Progress. Mark, you want to do your report next, since you've got a lot?
Well, I don't have a lot, because Bob covered most of it.
Rob,
So I did support, submit it in writing. Bob covered most of the things. Just a couple things to add on that I forgot to tell Bob about. 9th Avenue redevelopment planning, Steve Bach met with the owners of La Quinta, and he's coordinating with Gary Passanati regarding potential amendment to your redevelopment plan.
Okay.
So hopefully you'll get something on that soon. And the other thing is, Bob and I have to coordinate with what we want to spend our DOT and CDBG money on. We got the grants last month, and we just have to figure out what our priorities are. And January got a little bit away from me, so we'll look at doing it next week and coming up with a recommendation.
Okay.
So that's it. Other than that, progress. Oh, one other thing. Mentioned solar on Harry Williams. Wasn't there a study done a while ago concerning the structural capabilities of the roof? Yeah. So that's just a concern. You gotta.
I thought it said it was acceptable, if I recall that. We'll double check.
Yeah, just make sure.
Well, I mean, that was an absolute requirement.
It has to be, yeah.
Yeah, in order to move forward, that's
Well,
what
I
we,
just don't want
that's
to
what
take
we
a lot of
requested.
time. If this building can't take additional loads up on the roofs. And Steve Bach mentioned that in another municipality, you gotta be careful on the lease agreement. Because if for some reason you have a leak or something, you gotta repair your roof and you have to take the solar out of commission, you're responsible for the fees that they're losing on that area. So you just have to be careful with what your lease agreement is. That's, I wanted to mention that.
We'll dot around
Yes.
this.
So another town that happened, wow.
So they decide.
Whose responsibility would it be to find out the capacity for the roof? I mean, I wouldn't be able to do that.
It would be a structural engineer to take care of that.
Or the contractor.
Yeah. Is that part of your organization?
We could.
Did you look at that already?
Yeah. Didn't you
When we
review
put the
that?
new roof on?
Who reviewed it?
Not for adding stuff on top of it.
Not for we. Well, we fixed the roof, do you remember when we put the foam on top, but I guess that was okay.
Yeah, now you're going to be adding more weight to it.
Okay, well, maybe we need to do
And
that.
was there a Blue Star, or Blue Horizon or somebody that did a study years ago?
That was many years ago.
Well, I go back many years.
Yeah, you do go back many years. Yeah. You know, you're right, there was a report done
This is another
when
little.
McCarthy was here. There was a company that was doing work for the county that came down and looked at it.
I don't know.
This day and age,
So, I just want to make you aware that,
that doesn't.
Okay, the amount of,
and
you
then,
can,
and I'm not sure, Shelley was
It'll
talking
be
about,
fine.
you also have to get additional
We
quotes.
do have to check that.
well, we found out, and John, this is important, that that particular contractor wasn't a state contractor, so that makes it a little more difficult, because if they were under a state contract, we could hire them directly. We may have to go out for bid because it's over the bid threshold. Correct?
Well,
Or multiple
And
quotes.
even with, as he mentioned, with the different things within the lease, we would have to come up specific specifications that we're looking for regarding the bids that we're looking at.
So it's good to work with somebody, get an idea, but if it's over the bid threshold.
Well, I will tell you that a little bit I looked at the proposal was the amount of electricity that could be generated on that size roof if it could hold it structurally.
Very substantial.
If we could pay for it, was tremendous.
Best
The
investment we can
return on the investment was very quick. I think it was as little as, was it 5 years or something
5 or
like
7
that?
years.
And,
They're good for
and
30 years.
it was actually going to pay the majority of all the borough's electric bills, not just that building. So, but we have to follow the rules.
It'd
I
just be a
did
little
notice
slower.
in his bid that he did not pull up, he did not say prevailing wage. Obviously, we're a prevailing wage
I'll get more detail on it.
community, the state of
Yeah.
New Jersey, and then
We'll talk
also,
about that, yeah.
we're not liable, we're not subject to federal tax grants because we don't pay federal
But there is
taxes.
with the new Green Deal, there is that's how it ties.
There is
in.
some opportunities.
There is a big opportunity there. I think it's 30%.
Okay.
So I just want to bring that up. Other than that, progress.
Thank you, David.
Trying to
See?
protect the best
I
interest
know,
of
that's
our-
your
my
job.
is pro-
Usually, the lawyer's always telling me the bad
I'm
stuff.
wearing 2 hats today.
Yeah. Shelley, did you have anything for this evening, other than the extension of the temporary budget? Nothing else?
As John mentioned earlier, we did file our annual debt statement today, and we'll be moving on to our financial statements next. That's just about it, outside of everything that John mentioned.
Okay. Chief, did you have anything?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Lawyer?
Just doing some interpretation of some things, that's all. Nothing for public consumption at this time.
So the other thing we're also working on is can I tell that, our construction official has thrown us some other changes to remember what we did for him, changing the fees to match things? He gave us
Just
another,
bring it out the residents.
gave us another 8 more pages of
Clear and precise.
more stuff. If there's nothing else, I'm going to open it up to the public. Was there anything else? Joyce, did you have anything else? Nothing?
We have several proclamations that are coming up.
Well, we'll do them at the
Just,
council.
we have Women's History Month, Youth Art Month. We have, my favorite is Dr. Seuss, that's for March. We also have Black History Month. So several of those I'm getting together at the moment.
Thank you. Ms. Kelly's on top of that. I know. She's on top of that. Okay. What's that? Well, that'd be, they already approved that. Yeah. So we still have the chickens coming up, so we're gonna get that committee together.
Pilot program.
We're coming to your house.
Well, we do need those chickens, I'll tell
Coming
you.
to the eggs, we're gonna make money with
Unreal.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna open this, well, first, before I open it up to the public, I'm gonna have Mr. Del Sordo speak because he's working in concert with us with our War Memorial.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for that. This, as you know, the 70th anniversary of the ceasefire of Korea, and it's my intention for Memorial Day to erect a plaque on our plaque wall that we now have down there. I took the liberty of passing out the language. I would hope that you would look at this and find it satisfactory, because it takes several months for us to get these bronze plaques made, and I want to make sure everything is there. The last one we had, we incorporated mayor and council's name. I think that might be appropriate also. I don't know if there's been any changes or not, but I think it's a good thing. And if you supported this, it's not going to be supported by the people anymore, so hopefully this would be satisfactory. The only thing I really need right now is your approval of the language that's on here, and I need the exact names and initials and everything else of the members of council, what they may be, so I can order the plaque itself.
I mean, I think the wording's good. The only thing Bob and I talked about was the fact that it wasn't a war.
Yeah, you have to understand.
Using the word conflict is
Yeah.
difficult with some, they don't want to use that.
It was not a declared war, so you can't call it a war. It technically was a police action, and so the last thing I want to do is put up Korea police action. So what I did is I left it just as Korea. What it was actually was an activity by the United States along with about 40 other countries in order to stop communism. And it came, we were the big leaders of that. Canadians were strong then, the English were strong in that also. And even to this day, you may not know it, but there's over 25,000 troops that are still in Korea at the DMZ. And circumstances, you know what North Korea looks like now, it's probably more important to have another 25,000 over there. So it's not something that's over with, but it was a ceasefire. All it was declared was a ceasefire, and that was it. And that was in 1953. just as a future thing, it's my intention for 2025 to remember the end of Vietnam also, which was not a war, okay? So that's the thing, that'll be the last Americans who fought in Vietnam were in 1975. So that'll be the 50th anniversary of that. But I'd like to get this done for 2023. We're done with the pandemic, whatever you want to call that thing that we had. So I'd like to get this thing done. Just if you folks agree with the language that's on there, I can proceed. The only thing I would ask, obviously, is exact name. Joyce, you would probably do that.
Yeah, I mean, the names haven't changed since the last time we did it. If everyone recalls, none of the money came, we had money that was given to us from the county.
That's right.
Bob was able to raise other money, so nothing's been paid for by the taxpayers to do all this stuff. And
Right.
the only thing we did is we got the foundation set for that new block. I think the language sounds good. I think the names and, I think it should match the other ones that you did, so that it looks uniform.
All right, as long as I have your approval, because it does take way up to West Virginia to get this. That's where they come from.
No problem. I
So
don't think you need any
so you're
formal
saying
action.
that the names are the same, that it will do?
Yeah, the council names are the same.
Yeah, the one that we.
The one that we just did, he's gonna do it the same as the new one, and then the idea is to do Vietnam in 25,
2025, that'll complete,
and then that wall will be done.
yeah.
That's that new stone that we got.
Because we
Yeah,
had the
that's
one for
good.
Enduring Freedom, that was the one that's on the slab, that was done rapidly. So we've covered everything now, the community has done.
And then Patty, I mean, I think it'd be nice to have it in Memorial Day
Awesome.
service, do the
Yeah,
old, the
yeah.
way we used to do it, get the tent out there, get the chairs out there, get the,
You got it.
is your band guy, he's still playing, the musician?
Oh, yeah, I get it. But in all fairness, I'd like to dedicate it to Frank Kelly,
We could say something about that.
because.
Frank was always.
Yeah, Frank and I were always very friendly, instead of one another. Frank was a Korean War veteran, and he was active in the American Legion, he led the American Legion.
Yeah, he was commander.
He was commander, I remember.
Yeah, if we could do something like that, that would be
I
a
really like to.
good reason to get people
Make it special
together.
for Memorial Day,
Yeah.
that we could have something.
Hook up with me, Bob.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's nice.
Because Frank was a good part of this town, though.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay, so
Thank you.
I'll just copy the names exactly that
We'll get it
I
all.
have, and I'll use that and get it ordered for
Yeah,
you.
and hopefully we'll be ready for Memorial Day, so.
Well, I have plenty of time for that. The last time, if you remember, we were on a real schedule, we had about a week left over.
We didn't have much time.
So I want to give them as much time as possible after delivery. Okay?
Okay.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Just want to make sure everything's fine in order.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob, thank you for all
Thank
you do.
Yes, sir.
Mayor?
Yeah.
Was,
Excuse me, may I ask you a question?
Mr. Shapiro on there?
Don't, you know what, maybe
Yeah,
it wasn't there.
it might be different.
Yeah, it might be different, Mike might have been
Mike
on
Root
back
might
then.
have been on
Yeah,
back
we'll get you the
then.
exact.
It was my,
Just
it was,
need the exact name.
it was.
Yeah.
Robert Farrell Jr. or something like
Yeah.
that. I have it exactly.
Senior.
I have an old,
Senior.
I have an old,
That's
I
I didn't mean that. I know it was a junior.
Junior. I have an old
If you
email.
get that for me, I appreciate it. I'll paste it right on and I'll send it down to West Virginia.
Okay, sure.
Can I ask Mr. Calsora to kindly read the words of the resolution? Because you folks know it there, we haven't.
All right, I'll read it. You want me to read it?
And then,
Korea 1950 to 1953. In what has been deemed to be the first test of the strength of the newly formed United Nations, the United States was called upon to stop the flow of communism to the South Korean peninsula. Responding to that call, the sons and daughters of the Borough of Runnemede endured severe combat and weather conditions to preserve liberty and freedom. On this, the 70th anniversary of a ceasefire agreement, the Borough of Runnemede forever extends its gratitude to those who served our nation.
Thank you.
Dedicated Memorial Day 2020.
that's correct.
Nice one.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Nice seeing you again. I'll get up there.
Anytime.
Okay.
Okay, this portion of the meeting is open to the public. Those wishing to speak, please come to the microphone, state your name and address.
Good evening, everybody. My name is David Steinberg. I still live at 825 East Clements Bridge Road, apartment number
And you
13.
walked down the steps to get here, right?
what floor do you live?
We did have a power outage back, I think, in November. And yes, I walked up and down the steps, but I know several of my neighbors could not make it up and down the steps.
It's a good point, Eleanor, but it's, once again, difficult. All right, Dave.
Okay, I forwarded a copy of the proposed plan of landscaping for the labyrinth. The only comment I got back was from the mayor, who advised me that a proposed pathway is going to be not 5 feet, but 8 feet wide.
So if everyone recalls, the original park had a path going around it. And so box office had sent us over a drawing, I forwarded it to David, so that he knew if the path, or when that path ever comes in, then leave it up or not.
Okay, we were planning to go up to the tree, which is about 9 to 9.5 feet from the guardrail. I don't know if putting the pathway in is going to affect the tree or not.
I think that tree needs to be removed.
Well, if that's the case, then I would like to get some indication as to how far back from the proposed 8 feet. Now, we'll have a buffer in there, so in the event it moves one way or the other. I just need to get an idea.
Well, you would need a few feet between the guardrail, the 8-foot path, and then a few feet to
Okay.
have some clearance.
All right, so,
Continue to light.
And the lights also, if you remember, the county gave us some money for lights, and there was consideration to put lights along there too, so we have a drawing of the lights. I'll send you that drawing of the lights also.
okay.
So maybe as you're laying it out, you see all these the lights, potential.
Yeah, all I need to know is approximately how many feet and how much of a buffer you want from the end of the walkway to where we're going to do our plantings.
12, 15 feet?
No, not even, I mean, probably 5 feet on each side of the path, I think, so you just need
Okay.
an 18-foot slot.
So 18 feet.
18 feet, okay. Not a problem. We'll make whatever adjustments we need to make.
Okay.
That's good. Got a couple other things I want to share with you as well. As you know, we're working with the
I know the name too.
Runnemede Business Council.
Chamber of
Chamber of Commerce.
Business council.
I'm getting a little tongue-tied up here.
I
We're
thought
also-
you meant that company that was coming in.
Yeah, that's Community Design Collaborative. Let me just explain just a little bit on that, and then I'll go on to the next thing as well. Community Design Collaborative is the nonprofit arm of the American Institute of Architects of Philadelphia. What they do, what they've been doing for the last 30-some years is they've been working with neighborhoods. Most of them are in Philadelphia. They did one neighborhood in Camden, and now Runnemede is the second one they're coming over to Jersey with. What they're going to be doing is providing several merchants along Black Horse Pike, along the redevelopment area, with an opportunity to see what would it look like if the front of the building was changed. So we're getting some pro bono services from the people.
For the businesses.
For the businesses, that's correct. Kathy knows which businesses. I wasn't in on that. And there may be some others to add, or maybe even come off. I don't really know about that aspect of it. But we're planning a series of programs, one of which will be open to everybody in Runnemede. That includes residents as well as businesses. And that's going to be the 20th of February, which is President's Day. I believe you had a meeting with several people involved with it.
So I'm one of the speakers there to represent the borough. So it is a borough-sponsored event because I'm supposed to talk about our facade enhancement grant. As everyone knows, we've only given out 2 grants, and we have to do a better job of that.
Yeah.
So maybe what this does is get some of the businesses in town a little more interested in doing stuff. So maybe if they have ideas what they can do, a little bit of funding from us, because remember, ours is a matching grant. So they have to put up their own money first. I don't know if that's been an impediment, but it's the way it is. They have to put the money up, and then they get reimbursed from us. Are you going to talk about the other? Because I want to make sure it's clear that one thing that the group has done, which is excellent, is that the county is supporting this, not just in Runnemede. You're going to the Camden
Yes.
County College, and there will be additional resources to teach other businesses throughout the whole county how to improve their district. So it's really nice is that it's starting in Runnemede, but then it's moving to Camden County College, and it's going on for, another 4 weeks?
Yeah, I'm just going to go into what programs we're planning to do here. So the grant we got was for the Camden County Cultural Heritage Commission. And one of the comments that they made was the fact that we're opening up the whole county. There was a big wow to them. They really, really liked that because now not only is it something that we are doing here, but it has the impetus to help other businesses as well. I don't know how many we're going to get, but we do have an event planner who's done several hundred events in her time. And she's doing a massive campaign to be able to let people know about this. I'm not sure all the details of that, because I'm not involved with that. But the programs that we're doing, I'm just going to highlight them. In March, the workshop is going to be facade design, which goes in hand to hand with the grant. April is window display, visual marketing, planters, and streetscape. All these things have a very positive aspect in any business, as you know. In May, it's going to be logos, signage, exterior lighting, and on June, it's going to be a menu overhaul. Menu overhaul. I don't know about you, but many times I go to restaurants and there's so much there, it's hard to make a decision. So people that have gone through this process have actually found that their profits have increased when they add some spacing and redirect themselves and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of things menu-wise that just, to me it just doesn't make sense, and I'm sure some of you have comments of your own as well.
So my interest is, I think we'll have a decent turnout in Runnemede because the chamber is doing a good job of bringing these businesses that we can meet who's going to try to fix up their facades. I think the more interesting is going to be when it goes out to the whole county. As small business owners, it is tough to show up to these kind of events and to be there and do this. So I'm very curious. I think it's smart that they got somebody to advertise this, but to go down to Camden County, they're given a room. I'd be very curious to see how many people show up.
Yeah, I'd be curious also. We have some really, really good speakers coming up to fill the spots. I don't have all the names at the moment, but some of these people are top-notch as far as state of New Jersey and been doing these kind of things for a long, long time. So again, Runnemede, when I first moved here 4 years ago, I envisioned Runnemede.
It's only been 4 years.
Tomorrow will be 4 years exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
It seems like you've been here forever,
I know that's why you.
Look at my head. What can I tell you? What can I say?
I thought we grew up together, Dave.
Dave, this event on the 20th, it's open to everybody in town.
Everybody in
And
town.
I understand they get their tickets from Eventbrite?
Correct. That's correct. Yes.
What's the limit on people that can go into the building?
What's it, 85 or something like that?
Is there a fee?
So,
No. It's an event.
It's a borough, because of the facade thing, it'll be limited by the amount. Patty, once again, not that I'm, trying to be negative, but to get people to show up is so difficult.
I know.
for
we
things.
know that.
I'm thrilled that there's at least some businesses that are interested in getting this facade enhancement grant. Just to remind everybody, we have to the end of this year to spend this money. So it's important for us to try to either help the businesses in this way or some other way, or, we're not giving that money back to the federal government. We have to figure out what to do. So, yes, did you want to add? I heard a click.
I think that a big part of the problem is the wrong application getting out there too. A lot of times we have to go back to some applicants and have them fill out paperwork and then.
Well, that started out because we started off as a facade grant, which was the borough funded, and then it switched to a federally funded grant.
And that was initially, yes.
Yeah.
And then we also had a situation recently where the wrong link was sent out. The application is on our website.
I think those are minimal things.
But,
My
yes.
difficulty is why aren't the business owners taking advantage?
Right.
Filling
So
out the
Maybe
paperwork.
a great idea would be to take some applications with you.
There's
Thanks.
so many things to the
Maybe you can come with me, we can help fill them out.
It was a good idea, Shelley.
I'd be happy to bring applicants. And I think that's a big part of the reason they wanted me to be there was to promote this. And I would say to the
Exactly.
members of council, I think that this, even though that it's being held with this whole organization, we're representing this facade enhancement grant. It's council that put this together.
It's hard to get them moving.
I know.
Bob, how many years have you tried to get businesses to just,
I know.
we've
No,
talked
the
about
only
it.
thing a lot of people don't understand is that the state maintains an easement directly across the entire Black Horse Pike. You can't even put a facade outside. If you remember, Marino's wanted to put a mansard out.
I brought that up the other day,
And they
someone
tore
brought
it
that up.
down in one day.
You know that,
you
Kathy,
better be
it
careful.
was Bob who told me, and I forgot about it. Because Kathy had brought that up.
The state maintains an easement, they have a 10-foot easement from the curb back, so that if you have any business that's along that community, anything that's going to be done that'll affect that overhang, such as an overhanging sign, remember years ago?
Or an awning or a
Like an awning?
canopy.
Or an awning or anything like that, the state has to approve it, they're not going to approve it. So be very careful. I have no problem when change the front, put brick fronts or something like that, but it sounds nice, but the state, I know they maintain it. As you know, I've had a couple buildings up there, I couldn't do a thing with it.
Yeah, no, we brought it up, I did remember that, I
Right.
brought it to the group. But this is all good stuff, Dave.
Good, good. I got some more good stuff.
Oh,
As part of the Green Team, I've been embarking on a campaign for grants. So far, I've located about 40-some grants from Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission.
you should narrow that down.
Should narrow it down?
It's too many to try to.
You're right, it is a lot, but it covers a lot of different areas as well. So it's not all in one particular aspect. I also made contact with AARP. They have an interesting grant as well. I haven't had a chance really to look at it very much. I'm working with John and Eleanor and also Kathy Hornbeck about that. So we really don't have anything to discuss on that. But this afternoon I got a huge amount of booklets from AARP about livable communities, and it covers anything from transportation, housing, business district, and just about anything you can think of. I started looking at it before coming to the meeting today. Really, really interesting. And I think there may be some things there that we as a town could take a look at and say, is this something that we want to do for the future? So I haven't fully gotten through all of them as yet, because like it must be 600, 700, 800 pages, all the different booklets that they have. Now I have a question to ask you, Mr. Mayor, having to do with Runnemede's 100th birthday. I requested, and I'm going to say it out loud in public, I think it'd be a great idea for Runnemede to bring people together, bring the various organizations together, form a committee to celebrate Runnemede's 100th birthday on April 24th, 2026. It's not that far away. So I would like to make that formal request. You can answer now or answer over the next couple of weeks.
We have every
However you wanna do
intention
it.
of doing something.
Good.
Obviously, we have our timelines of different things that we have to do. So
Mhm.
as you know, last month, the first thing we do is reorganize.
Got it.
If you recall, I might not have been sitting here right now if I wasn't sworn in on that date.
Okay.
So for me to be presumptuous, I wasn't prepared to do anything. But yes, we're going to do something, hopefully, which encompasses everything you're talking about.
Doesn't take long to get things together.
No, but I mean, like, I would say that there are things that are social aspects of it, and I think there are some structural things we might want to do. Other towns have erected, monuments or clock towers, or, maybe the borough invests in something that's a little unique at that time, supporting all the organizations. So, we'll get through this budget, and then we'll start working on it, hopefully, maybe as early as this spring, we start to talk about it, because there's going to be a financial side to it, and then plan it. But I agree with you that, one of the things I thought, I don't know who brought it up, 100 trees, I thought was a great idea for a 100th anniversary. Someone brought that up, thought it was great. Other towns do the time capsule and different things like that, and a day and an event, maybe a Runnemede Day, which we used to have many years ago. Maybe we can bring something like that back on that special occasion. Now that we have a Chamber of Commerce, maybe we get the businesses more involved in sponsorships to do things. This past year, we basically pulled back on going after the businesses all the time because it was hard times for many years. So hopefully the businesses are doing well again. They'll be more supportive of all the events that are coming up, but we'll definitely get it done.
Thank you. Appreciate it. One last thing, and that is I want to thank members of council for your support for the liquefied natural gas resolution. I don't have an update to give you. The federal government and the state still have not issued the final permits on that, still pending. Hopefully the first quarter we'll hear something from the feds on that. But I want to just share with you that Runnemede was the very first town in the state of New Jersey to sign a resolution. We now have 18 towns and 19 NGOs, which include civic, faith-based, as well as environmental organizations. Total of 37. And I've been in touch with several others, and in probably the next couple of weeks, we may have some more additional ones as well. So again, a heartfelt thanks. You're number one. We are number one. And I love the idea of what you suggested earlier, that Runnemede is reaching out to other businesses as part of the promotion with the Community Design Collaborative, because Yes, no reason why Runnemede can't be a leader. We are a leader. And we just the other people who don't know it yet.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you very much.
I just wanted, in addition to what David said about the LNG transport, our department, our legislation department wrote a letter and included.
What organization are you talking about?
Oh, the Women's Club.
Women's Club?
Our legislation department chairman of the Women's Club wrote a letter to Peter Buttigieg and asked him to rescind that executive order. When Trump came in, he took it off the boards and said, we can now transport LNG. It had been forbidden for years.
It never was approved until then.
And of course, Trump signed it, and that's when
It
we
hasn't
got in.
changed.
Yeah, and that's when we got into the situation where we have it coming right down the turnpike. Now, if Buttigieg does his job, and we're gonna keep on his butt,
That's interesting.
we want him,
No pun
we want to have our president rescind that order and have executive order reinstating the ban on transport. That's all it's gonna take, an executive order from President Biden, and we will do all we can to get that
She
done.
said that
We're
over in
focused on
Washington.
we're focused on interchange 3, which is us. And I want to report to everyone that we did get final drawings, beginning drawings of the turnpike wide. If everyone doesn't know, the turnpike's being widened and interchange 3 is getting redesigned. So hopefully that'll help with some of the traffic or make it worse, I'm not sure. But they're supposed to redo it, so we are a stakeholder in that among 18 other towns, I think also. There's 50 other towns, I forget. Yeah.
Did they say when they were gonna start?
It's still a few years away, but this is the design stage, so we get an opportunity to say something during the design stage.
I heard about 8 years. Does it look?
You know what's funny about that? They need us a little bit to listen, so it's not a bad thing. You are right, they're an animal. The turnpike is a big animal, but they're very considerate. All the other municipalities, Belmar, Barrington, they talk to everybody. so.
It's about 8 years down the road.
That's a possibility, don't know. For us, the interchange 3 is what we really want to make it look nicer. So, thank you, David.
Did you see the design? Was it designed?
There are about 8 boxes at the Borough in the front building.
Oh, it sounds like
No, there's a lot. They overwhelm you with, it's almost, I think they do it on purpose. The engineers send you 80 pounds of paper to go
You get one too, Mark?
I don't know.
Well, I have a huge heavy box if you're interested. Of binders, plans, letters.
But they did bring us into a beginning conference, which was very nice, that they interviewed every single municipality, and we went to a meeting where we talked about what was wrong with our interchange. And so they at least heard it. We'll see.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else wish to
Thanks,
speak from the
Thanks,
public?
Dave.
Oh,
I think we'll follow the. Hi everyone, Catherine Gregory Walker, 145 East 3rd Avenue, Runnemede, New Jersey. I'm here as the Runnemede Chamber of Commerce asking for approval for an event on May 12th. The Runnemede Chamber of Commerce would like to, is partnering with, if everything goes well, Heights in Progress. Now Heights in Progress does events for Haddon Heights. They've done events for Magnolia, for Mount Ephraim. They have 13 years experience in doing events, so they have plenty of experience. She went out and looked at the place with them. We're thinking the Harry Williams building and the outside of the Harry Williams building, like we had talked about before. What other questions do you have?
Well, obviously, we're going to need, what is the theme of the event? What is the name of the event? You have that to start with.
So we have a part of the name and we have a part of the logo. So the name is Runnemede, and then it's going to be the Runnemede Chamber of Commerce, Runnemede, and spring event. We're working on a tagline, but we haven't gotten really far with the planning of it because we need to know that it's going to be approved for this date so that we can work out all the details with.
And it's a Friday.
It's a Friday night.
And the hours?
So we're working out the hours, either 5
to 8 or 5 to 9, or maybe 4 to 9. I know there's limits on timing, so we can talk about that. Also, in the consideration of this time are the bars, because, you know, we've been talking to Dave from the Mile, he's concerned about the business, so if we end earlier, maybe we can send people over. So he's part of the
That's interesting.
conversation, like, you know, Kidbrooks is part of the conversation, so Diner. So I've gone over to see it, but I haven't talked to Ed about it yet.
So you're trying to get the restaurants and bars involved and the other businesses to do something. You want to do it in conjunction with us?
Yeah.
Okay.
How,
As a sponsor?
when you say involved, what do you mean involved? Exactly what would they be doing, the other businesses? You're having vendors?
Well, we're gonna have,
What-
we plan
what-
to have vendors, we plan to have food trucks. So we're working out how they're gonna be involved. We were just in a meeting last night, and Dave Walsh was there. So that is all, like, if they're gonna have signature drinks, or if they're gonna, we're working that piece out. Heights and Progress is gonna use their liquor license, so they're gonna be bringing the beer. But there's gonna be sponsorships.
Isn't that kind of sort of taking away from the
They don't
businesses in
have-
our town?
They don't have the ability to do it with their staffing. Dave could do it, but he doesn't have all the other abilities with the marketing and the list. Like, they're expecting like 1,000 people. Like, Joe said maybe 2,000 people. So I don't know, that sounds like a lot to me.
Sounds like a lot to me.
But, you know, I mean, if we want to say 1,000 to 2,000, it's a lot of people. So the bars, they're fine with it. So, you know, when I talked to Philly Diner, they were just like, let us know what we.
Well, I think what's nice is that she's talking to the 3 liquor license holders in town, so they're part of this. And just the fact that if Dave said, hey, end at 8, he might see that as an opportunity for people.
It's,
And then
right,
go out to the
it's all a
Well, it brings people to
conversation.
the
They
community.
want another
It
drink.
sounds like a hippie event, Runnemede. Is that the theme, or what is the theme? You didn't say what the theme
Well, we
was.
don't have that yet, we're working on it, it's May 12th. So I mean.
I mean, sports bars.
music, we did.
So sports where you just work out baseball, I think is the only thing that really goes on. The gym is closed most of that time, right?
Right, and as
So
long
the
as
gym
I
would
know
stay
Dave,
open?
I can,
Well, if it's outside or inside, we don't know.
right, and as long as I know Dave is May 12th, I've talked to, the travel teams, talked to Jeremy, he can set it up where there's no games.
But if it's late in the afternoon,
Then
it shouldn't
at
affect
more
the
than-
kids.
On Fridays, that's when they play.
Oh, later.
They play around 6 o'clock, so,
No.
so
Oh, it's Friday, not Saturday.
Friday night,
So because it's a Friday night, it's easy to change the schedule.
I mean, I think it's good to do something. I agree with you that we need to do our best to try to be prepared and understand the
It
challenges we're
sounds a
gonna
little
have.
bit like National Night Out. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
we do
Well, we
national-
don't serve alcohol at National
no.
We
Night.
don't have alcohol, we're gonna have food trucks, so
We might get more attendance at National Night Out.
we're gonna have a lot more publicity, we need some signs, and I think, so the great thing about Heights of Progress is they have like a whole plug-in play package. So they have, here's a sponsorship package, here's the marketing plan, here's the, so, and they're gonna do, the split we did is 70-30, so they get 70% of the profit, we get 30. After the cost of the event has come up, but they're doing all the work, which is great for us because we're all very short.
So I think some of the consideration was security, trash, setup, advertising, all those things this organization really does.
The 30%
Sounds like the right way to do it.
Well, obviously, yeah, you hire somebody who knows how to do it.
We don't have any full-time people, we all work.
And not enough volunteers.
And not enough
You're
volunteers.
never gonna.
Yeah. So, and I feel like it'll be done right, and we want it to be like awesome. Like, you know, people were like, that's a great event. So, since it's our first one, we want to make a big splash.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I would call it more of a soft opening. And try to,
Okay.
you know, restaurants that open with a big splash, sometimes people don't go back.
Well, we
So-
won't repeat this.
So if you do a good job, I think it's more important than a
Are you
big
having
splash.
music?
Yeah, music. So, I mean, we have an
And you're just gonna confine it to the Harry Williams, on the grass? That's where you're going?
Yeah, so, I mean,
Is it
I
gonna,
don't know the whole plan.
is it gonna flow into
Yeah,
the
Guys,
street?
when you get the plan, we'd like to
Yeah,
see it.
yeah.
So I know there's gonna be food trucks, I know it's gonna be on the grass piece, I think there's gonna be some.
So you wanted the general okay for us to keep moving forward?
Yes,
So
because
does everybody feel that May 12th?
Make sure that the buildings are occupied.
I think.
I just sent it out, Jeremy, Hill. But I was in baseball, I had no problem at all.
Now, we always have the mayor and council, and I don't really see that.
I think it'd be wonderful.
On, you know, might be be the evening party.
Chief, did you have something?
Yeah, I mean, I met with him out there, and at one point that I drove home, that it's Joe, right? That I thought it was a good idea for him to come to the meeting.
Yeah,
There'll be I said, you gotta get all the right permissions, everybody on board, make sure everything's good from A to Z. And having him here, you know, he rattles things off like this, because they're gonna have all these questions, and yeah, we're looking at this way, facing that way, so everybody's got a clear
So
picture of what they're
is
looking at.
there a fee to end, I mean, where's the money coming and going?
So there's going to be vendors, there's going to be.
Is there an entrance fee? She
So,
says?
No, there's not.
So it's free to walk
So-
up and then you pay once
so
you're,
Yeah.
how are you keeping track of the money?
So
not our concern.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying.
So
I'm
it's all going to
curious.
go into a pot, Heights and Products is going to handle it, then we're going to give.
70%, 30%?
Yeah. They're
The
doing-
chambers
they're
are-
doing
And then the 30% goes to,
Chamber.
The Chamber of Commerce, yes, which then we will turn around and do other Celebrate Runnemede business events and donate to civic groups and all that stuff.
They need money to do stuff.
We need money.
It's Patty, it's all found money.
Yeah, I mean,
Basically,
we feel like if it's 30% for us not having any experience in putting together a big event like that, that's more money than we would probably get if we did it on our own. And it would be a much higher quality event than if we were to do it on our own.
Because he's not going to have a date that conflicts with other places. That was, remember we were talking about that before, if we picked a date, we can't conflict with other communities. So obviously this May 12th date should work.
Yeah, it's on their calendar as long as it's, and he will come to other ones. He was like, you know, let's get approval from the mayor council and everyone, and then as we go forward.
It's not like we haven't done this at St. Teresa's forever, you know, so there is some experience on our side.
Yeah, and he knows the ins and outs of what he needs permits for. I know I have to talk to Scott Hill, and like, he's like a professional. He rattles it off in his sleep, I think, what he needs in each town that he does it in.
Yeah.
So he knows he has to talk to this person for the food truck.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so I think it'll be a good.
But we need more details.
Yeah, of course. So, so we're good with the date.
Yep.
And then the Harry Williams Building, most likely, one of Dave's Walsh's concerns is the fact that it's so far, the Harry Williams Building is so far from where the businesses are, so there is discussion about maybe a bike path. Still, that came up again last night, so we'll look into that, but let's go.
Bike path for the event,
Mhm.
not a good idea.
No? Okay, so then we're gonna have to have it there.
I'm going to tell you why.
Is it homes?
Yeah.
Because you have homes.
Yeah.
You can't back up to residential.
Okay.
And up Green Acres.
You know,
For a spot.
but then you're hidden.
Yeah,
If anything, what's great about
We've had
that,
some good.
I understand if it was only for the Borough of Runnemede, but I think their goal is to bring
Yes.
people from everywhere.
yeah, we want people.
And
to
the one
see
thing we
the
have is that Black Horse Pike,
It's the only-
you know, our VFW Memorial is in the center of our town. That's, you know, that's the,
Yeah. So then we'll.
the Veterans Green, we call that as the place, that's the
Yeah.
focal point.
Yeah.
You know, how big it is, that's the questions and how it all plays
It's
out.
easy to close off the street
Yeah.
right there.
We can't close off the
Fieldhouse,
Black
if
Horse.
it's that big, 2,000 people, the field house could be added to the venue, right?
You still gotta have parking,
Yeah.
and people have to be able to flow. So this guy, from what I hear from this gentleman, he's very professional.
Yeah, he is.
He knows what he's doing.
So just a question, because the rain topic did come up, and he said usually he has a whole nother date. It's not like, you know, if it rains, it's a whole nother date. It's not gonna be the next day. You gotta reorganize and everything. But is it possible to have it in the Harry Williams Building if it rains?
It's possible, but you have to talk to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he loved the inside of the Harry Williams Building.
Yeah.
He, when he saw it, so, okay, so that's something we'll definitely talk about, we'll work out more details, I'm sure he'll come and we can add more details.
Very exciting.
Approval, it is very exciting, it is very exciting. Good. Okay. All right, nice,
Great.
thanks.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thanks.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Chickens? Well, I saw they were here, so I got it. Just an opportunity. We'll keep it short because our goal is to get together.
Yes, that's pretty much, I guess, what
Okay.
we're set. Just-
Yeah, so just so everyone knows, just to preface what they're going to say is, Bob and I have been talking that the spring is coming, we need to get a little more prepared. It's part of green team, it's part of sustainability.
It is.
And
It is.
the next step for us is to formulate this committee and this group that's going to help us oversight on what we're considering our pilot program, which is a few homes that are going to start doing it They're gonna regulate it, and the applications and things like that will go through this. What's that?
Yeah, how many homes do the same?
I don't remember off the top of my head, is it 4, 6, or something like that?
For
5?
applications, Joyce said there's been quite a few, right?
No, how many were you allowing?
Remember we said
It was 20.
20?
No, for the pilot program? Brian?
Yeah.
Yeah, you put in the ordinance.
20?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just,
That's a
And we
lot.
got 20?
I've had, well, first for the record, Samantha Singheiser, 456 Center Ave. I just participated in, I co-hosted with Gwen a Backyard to Basics chicken class, and there were 7 residents from Runnemede. So that was in November. I have had inquiries since then asking, what do we do now that we have the class, there's no chicken board? Yeah, a lot of people have been waiting to see if there's a chicken board, because if they're going to throw in an application, the chicken board needs to come out and see their house and determine where the coop needs to be within the confines of the pilot program, so.
Let's try to get together next week
Yeah.
and formulate this chicken board. I don't recall 20, but we'll figure it out. We can always slow play the applications, I'm very
And
honest.
with the price of eggs, I don't know what's gonna happen.
The board is going to consist of
Members of the residents.
residents.
Residents and choosing.
Is Gwen going to be on the board?
Well, no, Gwen is an advisor. She's given us everything they've done in other towns, correct? All we're gonna do is follow what everybody else did in the past 4 years. We're just gonna follow what they did. Now, they did pilot programs, so we didn't adopt a pilot program.
Yeah, we do have a pilot.
Yeah, it's a 1-year pilot.
1 year.
But the amount is whatever the amount is.
Yeah, we'll need to talk about your appointment of a president, vice president, the secretary, and 2 people at large. So that's a total of 5 members.
Let's get together.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
I've been saying something to Bob, and I apologize that we keep missing each other.
Appreciate it.
Anyone else wish to speak? So you see how much fun it is being elected official? Chickens, parties, labyrinths. Where we go? Did we miss anything? Okay. Would someone like to close the public portion?
I'll make a motion to close the public portion.
All right, motion by Ms. Passio. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Ranieri. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, public portion is closed. Is there any other business?
Yes, payment of bills.
Oh, what's the bills? Chrissy, what do you know? All right, payment of bills. Would someone make a motion to
I'll
pay
make
the
a
monthly bills?
motion to pay the monthly bills.
I'll second.
Motion by Ms. Passio, second by Mr. Shapiro. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Passio.
Yes.
Mr. Ranieri.
Yes.
Mr. Lobbins, Mr. Farrell.
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly. Yes. And Mr. Shapiro.
Yes.
5 ayes, 1.
All right, the bill shall be paid. Would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Ms. Passio, second by Mr. Farrell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we adjourned at 7:15.
7:15.